Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's English lesson on conditional sentences. Conditional sentences are one of the most useful grammar structures in English because they help us talk about situations, possibilities, facts, plans, dreams, and regrets. In our daily conversations, we often use words like if, unless, and provided that to express conditions and their results. For example, we might say, if it rains, I will stay home, or if I had more time, I would learn another language. Understanding conditionals will help you communicate more clearly and naturally in both speaking and writing. In this lesson, we will explore the different types of conditional sentences, learn when to use them, study their structures, and practice with plenty of examples. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to use conditional sentences with confidence in real-life situations. Conditional sentences are used to talk about a situation and its possible result. They usually describe what happens, what might happen, or what could have happened under certain conditions. Conditional sentences are very common in everyday English because people often talk about possibilities, plans, advice, dreams, and regrets. A conditional sentence normally has two parts. The condition, if clause, tells the situation. The result, main clause, tells what happens because of that situation. Structure, if plus condition, result. Result plus if plus condition. Examples. If it rains, I will stay home. I will stay home if it rains. The meaning is the same in both sentences. Types of conditional sentences. There are four main types of conditionals. Zero conditional, first conditional, second conditional, third conditional. There is also a mixed conditional. 1. Zero conditional. Usage. The zero conditional is used to talk about facts, scientific truths, general rules, things that are always true. If one thing happens, another thing always happens. Structure. If plus present simple, present simple. Examples. If you heat water to 100 degrees Celsius, it boils. If it rains, the ground gets wet. If people don't eat, they get hungry. If you mix blue and yellow, you get green. If the sun sets, it becomes dark. These sentences describe facts that are always true. More examples. If you touch fire, it burns. If ice melts, it turns into water. If students study hard, they learn more. If I drink coffee at night, I can't sleep. 2. First conditional. Usage. The first conditional is used to talk about real possibilities in the future, likely future situations, plans and predictions. The condition may happen and the result is likely. Here is the structure. If plus present simple, will plus base verb. Examples. If it rains tomorrow, I will stay home. If you study hard, you will pass the exam. If she arrives early, we will start the meeting. If they invite me, I will go. Here are more examples. If I save enough money, I will buy a new laptop. If you don't hurry, you will miss the bus. If we leave now, we will arrive on time. If he works hard, he will succeed. Negative examples. If you don't practice English, you won't improve. If she doesn't come, we won't start the class. Using modal verbs. Instead of will, we can use can, may, might, should. Examples. If you study, you can pass the exam. If it rains, we may stay home. If you feel sick, you should see a doctor. 3. Second conditional. Usage. The second conditional is used to talk about unreal situations in the present, imaginary situations, dreams and wishes, situations that are unlikely to happen. Structure. If plus past simple, would plus base verb. Although we use the past tense, we are talking about the present or future. Examples. If I had $1 million, I would travel around the world. If I were a bird, I would fly across the ocean. If she knew the answer, she would tell us. If he lived closer, he would visit more often. More examples. If I won the lottery, I would buy a big house. If I were rich, I would help poor people. If I had more free time, I would learn another language. If we owned a car, we would drive to the beach. Special rule. Were. In formal English, we often use were instead of was after I, he, she, or it. Examples. If I were you, I would study harder. If she were here, she would help us. If he were taller, he would play basketball. Common expression. If I were you, used to give advice. If I were you, I would apply for the job. If I were you, I would apologize. 4. Third conditional. Usage. The third conditional is used to talk about unreal situations in the past, regrets, things that did not happen. It imagines a different past and a different result. Here is the structure. If plus past perfect would have plus past participle. Examples. If I had studied harder, I would have passed the exam. If she had left earlier, she would have caught the train. If they had listened to me, they would have avoided the problem. If we had known about the event, we would have attended. Here are more examples. If I had saved more money, I would have bought a car. If he had called me, I would have helped him. If they had arrived on time, they would have seen the show. If she had practiced more, she would have won the competition. Understanding the meaning. I didn't study. I failed the exam. Imaginary past. If I had studied harder, I would have passed the exam. This expresses regret because the past cannot be changed. 5. Mixed conditional. Usage. Mixed conditionals combine different time periods. Usually a past condition affects a present result. Here is the structure. If plus past perfect would plus base verb. Examples. If I had studied medicine, I would be a doctor now. If she had taken the job, she would live in London now. If they had saved more money, they would own a house today. If he had worked harder in school, he would have a better career now. Understanding the meaning in the past. He didn't study hard. Understanding the meaning in the present. He doesn't have a good career. Here are example sentences. If he had studied harder in school, he would have a better career now. Unless in conditional sentences. Unless means if not. Examples. Unless you study, you will fail the test. Unless it stops raining, we won't go outside. Unless she calls me, I won't know the answer. These can be rewritten as, if you do not study, you will fail the test. If it does not stop raining, we won't go outside. Common conditional words. Besides if, we can use when. When you arrive, call me. As long as. You can stay as long as you are quiet. Provided that. You can borrow my car provided that you drive carefully. In case. Take an umbrella in case it rains. Even if. Even if it rains, we will play football. Conditional sentences help us talk about facts, possibilities, dreams, advice, future plans, and past regrets. The key is to choose the correct conditional type based on the time and reality of the situation. The zero conditional talks about facts. The first conditional talks about real future possibilities. The second conditional talks about imaginary situations. The third conditional talks about past regrets. And the mixed conditional connects the past with the present. Mastering these patterns will make your English more natural, accurate, and expressive in both speaking and writing. To conclude, conditional sentences are an important part of English grammar because they allow us to talk about facts, possibilities, imaginary situations, and past regrets. We learned that the zero conditional is used for facts and general truths. The first conditional is used for real future possibilities. The second conditional is used for unreal or imaginary situations. The third conditional is used for situations that did not happen in the past, and the mixed conditional connects past situations with present results. Remember that the key to mastering conditionals is regular practice. Try creating your own sentences using each type and use them in your daily conversations. The more you practice, the more natural they will become. Thank you for joining this lesson, and keep learning, practicing, and improving your English every day. See you in the next lesson.